Hey, welcome back. Neighbor just brought this over to us. This is off his Sycamore International. This is a balanced head mower, belt drive, and that part there moves back and forth and moves the cutter bar, the knife bar back and forth. And this style unit, you can operate it vertically or way down or even wherever, instead of the old wooden pitman arm style. And his problem was that the cutter bar was a little bit too loose, and this part was wobbling way too much. And what the problem is, there's a bearing on the bottom of this where it pivots, and it was all broken up. And the only way to get this apart, you have bolts around the outside of it. Then right in the bottom where that bearing is, there's a pin. And we already got it out here. Tapered pin that goes up into the bearing, and it has a set screw in it there, a 1/2 inch set screw, Allen wrench, and we had to heat that up quite a bit and then get that set screw out. And then I was just using this slide hammer on a big long 1/2 inch bolt we have, and it popped it right out of the bottom here. There it is right there. And it's held in by the cutter, well, not the cutter bar, but the rock guard bar. It has all the rock guards on it. And then we can take this right off here. Slides right off. And it's all greased on the inside. And then there's the bearing, or what's left of the bearing, where that pin goes up into. So he's going to need a new bearing, that's for sure. They're about $14. And then another thing is on the end of this shaft here, there's supposed to be a cap, just an aluminum cap. Has a snap ring, well, not a snap ring, but a old style hose clamp, spring clamp. It just holds it on there. And you see this is narrower down here, and it kind of flares outwards, kind of hold it on there. And believe it or not, just that cap from International, they want $72 for that. And this is about 2.5 inches in diameter. So what I'm thinking of using is an old spray can and just cutting it off and sliding it on there, kind of crimping it down and putting that spring clamp back on it, because that keeps the grease into the bearings here when you grease it from the top through the top hole. And that keeps the grease in so that it goes out to the other bearings. And then there's a grease fitting for the bottom. But this operates off of a kind of a weird way they have it. The shaft comes in, and then it's kind of got like an angle shaft kind of made onto it, so it's like way off center. And then that causes this to pivot like this as that spins around. from the belt. It's really weird how they came up with that, but it works, and it's nice and quiet when they do work properly. So we're gonna get that bearing ordered up for them, and then come up with a cap for it. New cap instead of the $72 one, and then that'll get them back to cutting again. And this style outfit there, I think even New Holland uses it quite a bit on some of their sycamores, and even Ford used this style on their, I think it's their 515 sycamore. So it's a kind of a popular kind of setup, this shaft deal here. I'll show you what it looks like on the mower. And this is what it looks like when it's all together on the mower. You can see that you can lay it right over compact on the tractor instead of having it straight up and down like a normal Pitman mower with the wood rod on it. Pitman. And it really makes it a lot easier. You can almost even run it just like that. You can put a hydraulic cylinder on it, so you can really go up and down with it if you wanted to. But usually you just flop it right over, and you can cut some steep banks with it, or go way down into a ditch with it. And you can't do that with a Pitman, or it'll start binding up. Well, the bearing finally came in for the bottom of the wobble box here. Had to get the old race out of it. Actually had to heat it up with a torch there and kind of deform it there so it would collapse in and get it out. The new bearing here, it's only got a seal on one side. Of course, it gets filled up with grease from the inside here. Made sure that was all nice and clean in there. And on the top up there, they have a cork plug, or what was left of a cork plug, to keep the grease in, going to the bottom bearing so that it wouldn't come out the top. So what I did was put a rubber plug in there. See it down in there. Put a rubber plug in there and really pushed it right in so it wouldn't come back out again. And then for that cap, use the bottom of a spray can. Had to dent out the bottom in order to make enough room for that nut that's in there. And I put a heavy duty hose clamp on it there so that it wouldn't come off instead of that spring clamp. So we'll see if that interferes with the other side cover or not. So all I got to do is just tap the new bearing in there, drive it in, and put that other side cover on it, and put the pin back up through the bottom, tapered pin. Made sure I put some anti-seize on that set screw there, because that was tough to get that out too. So I put that bearing in there and see how that cover fits. Well, now it's all back together. Tapped in that bearing into the yoke here, and put the tapered pin back up in there. Tapped it in with a brass drift so that you wouldn't screw up those threads there at all, or mushroom it out at all with the hammer. I greased up the bottom bearing and greased up the yoke up here. That cap there that I put on there, I did have to take off about 3/8 of an inch. It was up too high. It was hitting the inside of the case here. But after I sliced a little bit off it there, it sits in there good with no rubbing at all. I guess he's good to ready to cut with it now. Throw it back on his mower. Yeah, that spring clip there, that's a little bit too light duty. That's why I put that hose clamp on there to really make sure that it was nice and tight. Yeah, so that's what's inside of a Wobble box. And what went wrong with this one? Probably because there was no grease in that bottom bearing. Well, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.